Hello, and welcome to the fourth and final webinar in the Good to Great series. Today we'll be looking at understanding what airport ambience is. So what is airport ambience? How does it affect passenger satisfaction levels? And what can you do to maximize satisfaction with ambience at your airports? Ambience is probably one of the hardest aspects of airport service to get right. But if you're able to provide a great airport ambience or a great airport atmosphere, the benefits are great. You'll see overall satisfaction levels at your airport go up, and you'll see passengers start to treat your airport as a place that they want to go, so as a destination that they would like to go, rather than simply as a place that they have to go through on their way to catch their flight. And one of the airports we work with which has achieved this best is Singapore Changi. And I think this picture pretty much sums up a lot of what we'll be talking about today. The ambience in Changi is so good that the restaurants landside have had to put signs on the tables saying that they will not allow people to come and sit there and study. The atmosphere the airport has created is so good that students are coming from the city, taking the train, and going and spending their day at Changi to study because it's such a nice place to be. And that's just landside. Just think of what Changi is able to achieve airside in terms of ambience and atmosphere. And so that's probably one of the greatest benefits of having a great airport atmosphere and ambience is it will make your airport a place that passengers would want to go. They'll feel good there and they'll want to come back to that. What about your airport? Is that the case? Is your airport a place people would want to go to would choose to go to? Or do people still see your airport as somewhere that they have to go through before catching their flight, not something they would choose to do? For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Ingram, and the company I work for specializes in helping airports around the world improve passenger satisfaction levels and maximize passenger satisfaction at their airport. And we try to do so by helping airports find out how to do that without spending a large amount of money. For most airports, it is possible to significantly improve satisfaction levels without spending much if you know where to focus. And that's going to be kind of the main focuses of today's webinar, is showing you practical examples of what you can do to improve passenger satisfaction with ambience without spending a lot of money. So what are the things you can do to improve perception of your airport, the airport experience, without investing in new facilities or a new terminal? This is the fourth and final webinar in our Good to Great series. In previous webinars, we've looked at understanding the fundamental drivers of passenger satisfaction, how to get those right, making sure that you minimize the negative impact your airport processes can have on the passenger experience, and creating a more customer-focused organization to focus your whole team and everybody working in the airport on the goal of improving the passenger experience. And today we're going to look at airport ambience in the final webinar of the series. If you're interested in catching up on previous webinars, you can watch recordings on our YouTube page. And I'll also be creating a recording of one of today's webinars and posting that online next week if you want to be able to watch it again or share it with any of your colleagues. So airport ambience. Ambience is a complicated and a large topic, and I've tried to break it down into 4 key questions that will help you better understand what is airport ambience. The first one, and the most obvious, is what exactly is ambience? What does that mean? What are the factors that influence perception of ambience at your airports? And then usually the question that comes after that is, what, as an airport, can I do to improve ambience in my facilities? So I'll be giving you practical solutions for improving your airport's ambience. I'll be showing you examples of what great airport ambience look like. What are some of the things that different people around the world are doing to try to improve and create a better ambience for their passengers? And then finally, we saw that one of the key benefits of focusing on ambience is it enables you to make your airport a place that people would like to spend time in and want to spend time in. So we'll look into more detail of what are the different things you should be thinking of if you want to make your airport a destination or a place that passengers would like or want to spend time in. So those are the 4 key questions we'll be answering today, starting with what exactly is airport ambience? Well, what makes ambience so complicated to manage and so difficult to improve, it's that it's not something that passengers see. Rather, it's something that they experience. It's the feeling people get from going through your airport. So it's not a KPI like baggage carts, where all you need to do is simply maybe go add in more baggage carts or change the locations, or that you can easily manage. No, ambience is something that passengers feel, it's perception, and that perception will be different for each passenger. And that's why it's so complicated to get great ambience scores, because you have to manage your airport in the way that every person going through there gets a positive and good impression of your airport and finds what they want in your facilities. So ambience is the general feeling passengers get from experiencing your airport. It's the character, the atmosphere that your airport is projecting, the environment, and how that is influencing their perception of what they thought of your airport. And it's influenced by a whole range of different factors, going from your architecture, your interior design, to the colors you use, the lighting, the natural light in the terminal or not. But also the processes, the attitudes, the way your staff is behaving towards passengers. All those things work together to create passenger perception of your ambience. And good ambience is about getting all of those factors to work together and to work well and to build on each other to create an overall global positive impression. And the good news is, if you're able to achieve that, good ambience can just make the whole airport experience seem better. People will go away with a really positive feeling, a positive impression about your airport if your ambience is good. The bad news is that it only takes one negative experience to completely ruin all your efforts and to wreck the perception of ambience at your airport. So for your airport's ambience to be good, you need to manage each of these different areas well and to make sure that you have a balance in your terminal and you don't have any negative experiences which are completely ruining the efforts that you're focusing on improving all the other areas. And to put ambience in its perspective, I want to remind you of this slide from Webinar 1, showing the three main groups of services that you have to balance well if you want to manage passenger satisfaction levels in a way to improve overall satisfaction with your airport. And ambience is one of what we've called global influencing factors. That means it's a basic key driver of passenger satisfaction. If you want to be able to improve overall satisfaction levels at your airport, you need to focus on ambience. And you need to make sure that the ambience of your airport is good. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve high levels of satisfaction. So ambience is just as important as your cleanliness, your washrooms. Ambience is a key driver and a fundamental driver of passenger satisfaction at airports worldwide. So ambience is the global feeling that passengers get from using your facilities. So we've seen more of what ambience is, and now I want to focus on some common misconceptions about what ambience might be and explain exactly what ambience isn't. Ambience is not about window dressing. It's not simply adding a few orchids or nice flowers and a couple decorations and paintings in your airport. That is not creating airport ambience. If you want to create a real good ambience at your airport, you have all these other factors besides decoration coming in. So you have to have a more global framework and a big picture view of your airport experience. That's how you achieve great levels of airport ambience. Ambience is not something that can help you gloss over or fix key service delivery issues. You can't hope to wave a few decorations and some nice paintings and expect passengers to love your airport if your queues are long, the washrooms are dirty, or the facilities are not clean. That won't work. To really reap the benefits of ambience, you need to have your whole airport experience working well and working together. Then you'll get the major benefit of improving airport ambience. But ambience projects will not help you fix or distract passengers from what are your key service delivery issues. And ambience should not be limited to your commercial teams. Quite often airports think, oh, ambience, that's a commercial project. That's something you do around the stores to try to get people to be motivated to go into them. Well, no, that's not true. We've seen that ambience is influenced by a whole range of different factors. So if you want to be able to improve airport ambience and create great ambience in your facilities, you need to get people from different teams to come together and to work together on creating an overall experience or an overall atmosphere and ambience which is great at your airport. So it should not be limited to one department. We should have many people throughout the airport working on it. And finally, Ambience is not expensive to create. Quite often people we work with think, oh, to improve ambience, we just have to build a new terminal. That will fix it. That's not the case. Yes, having new facilities can create a better ambience. However, it's not the key. There are a lot of other ways you can do to focus on improving ambience in small ways. A lot of small projects and quick wins that you can implement to create a better and improved airport ambience without having to spend millions and billions on creating a new terminal. And I want to show you some of those today. So show you some of the examples of what you can be doing to improve your airport's ambience without spending a lot of money. To summarize, improving ambience is all about shifting your airport's priorities. Adopting the mentality of a great airport. What we see is that average airports we work with, or airports that achieve average levels of passenger satisfaction, they usually focus exclusively on processes. They think to improve satisfaction, we need to improve our processes. Well, yes, processes are important, but that is not the key. What the best airports in the world have understood is that in order to improve passenger satisfaction, in order to create an improved airport, they need to focus on creating experiences. Great airports, or the best airports, focus on creating an overall experience which is enjoyable. So they look at their whole airport and they think of the whole experience passengers have, and they try to maximize or do the best they can the whole way. Not just the process, but a global, overall, good, positive experience. And you should ask yourself, what about your airport? What are your priorities? What is your airport focusing on? Are you mainly focusing on processes? If that's the case, chances are you'll find it very difficult to improve overall satisfaction levels. Or have you adopted that change in mentality, and have you shifted your priorities to create a great airport experience? What's your focus? What defines your airport? So we've seen what ambience is, and a little bit of what ambience isn't, and now I want to focus on showing you practical solutions for improving ambience in your facilities, in your terminals. And what makes ambience so hard to get right is that for it to work, to get good airport ambience, you need all aspects of your airport service to work well together. Your building, your architecture, the way your airport looks and feels, that influences perception of ambience at your airport. So you need to do as much as you can to make sure that the building works well in terms of your passengers. The interior design, the colors, the design, the lighting, the decoration you have, those are things that also influence ambience, and quite often airports make the mistake of thinking that ambience is exclusively about focusing on this area. Yes, this is key to improving ambience, but it's only part of the picture. It's only one small part of what makes your airport's ambience. Your processes are important because they dictate passenger stress levels and the way passengers feel when they use your terminal. Are your processes complicated? Are they stressful? Are they simple? Are they easy? Are you providing an enjoyable, relaxing airport atmosphere? So your processes and your wayfinding influence passenger perception of your ambience. And of course, your staff influences perception of ambience as well. What's their attitude towards service? What is the way that they face passengers, the way they greet passengers, the way they work with passengers? What is their attitude towards service? If you want to be able to have good airport ambience, you need to have staff that is focused on the passenger experience and focused on providing high quality service. So 4 main groups or 4 main areas influence perception of ambience. And what's complicated is for ambience to work well, each of these different groups have to be well managed. You can't hope to focus on exclusively one of them. And what makes it hard to manage as well is that if all it takes is one negative experience or one poor performance in one of these to completely ruin the efforts of the 3 others. So ambience is about making sure your global airport experience works well together. And we've covered a lot of this in previous webinars, and I just want to kind of focus on reminding you some of the key points in each of these areas. If you want to improve your ambience, your architecture and interior design has to work to make the airport experience seem pleasant. The key to success in this area is providing bright, airy, light terminals. That's what passengers like. They like bright facilities, they like natural light, they like it to feel warm and inviting when they come to the airport. It means making sure that you get rid of any sort of visual pollution and clutter that is distracting passengers from that enjoyable airport experience. If your terminals, and this is especially the case in older facilities, are completely full of stuff that doesn't need to be there, it creates a cluttered, oppressive, and kind of dirty atmosphere. That ruins your airport ambience. It means making sure that you keep your facilities clean and well maintained, and all of the airport clean and well maintained. We saw in webinar 1, all it takes is one poor experience to completely ruin passenger perception of cleanliness at your airport. Well, the same is true for ambience. Your facilities have to use good quality materials and they need to be well maintained and kept clean throughout the whole airport if you want to be able to improve the ambience or the atmosphere of your facilities. So clean, bright, light, enjoyable. Those are keys to great ambience. In webinar number 2, we saw that processes will not help you create great experiences. However, airport processes create stress and can create a strong negative perception of your airport. So your job, and what you need to do if you want to improve your airport's ambience, is focus on making sure that your processes are not creating any kind of stressful or negative impression on your passengers. Making sure that your processes don't make your airport seem stressful or awful. And to do that, you need to work on not just the waiting times, but the actual perception of your processes just as much. Your queues have to seem short. Your processes have to seem efficient. The staff working there have to seem like they're doing their best to get people through as quickly as possible. That's important. In terms of your wayfinding, you need to design things for the non-frequent travelers. They're the people who have the hardest time going through the airports, and so your signs have to be designed to give them the information they want when they need it. And they need to stand out and be easy and simple for passengers to see. If you do that, your airport experience or your ambience will seem simple, easy to get around. People will go away thinking, wow, that airport was quick, simple, and efficient. And your staff are key. If you want to be able to improve airport ambience, your staff have to be part of that drive. You need to try to instill a real service mentality amongst your staff. The mentality that people are focused on providing the best possible experience for the passengers. As we saw in webinar number 3, that means focusing on creating a real sense of purpose amongst your staff, and then having incentives and motivators in place to drive them towards that and to drive them to exceed and achieve the high levels of standards that you want to set yourself. And that means involving not just airport staff, but every person working in the airport on the goal of focusing on improving the passenger experience. And to do that, you need to have a vision for your airport and communicate that to them and make people working at your airport more proud of what they're doing and proud of their service that they're providing to passengers. That's the key to making your atmosphere seem more caring and more personal. And that will help you improve the ambience and atmosphere of your airport. So in order to improve ambience, your facilities have to be clean, well maintained, and designed with the passenger in mind. Your processes have to be managed well enough to avoid creating any sort of negative influence or negative perception on the passenger. And your staff have to be customer focused and focused on improving the experience for each passenger going through your facilities. Those are the keys to success. And that's what will help you create and project the impression that the atmosphere of your airport was enjoyable or nice. And now I want to show you some examples of what some airports around the world are doing to improve airport ambience. Now, of course, each airport is different, and so each of you will have to approach ambience in a different way based on your facilities, your budgets, and the constraints that you have. But what I want to do is show you some pointers of some ways that airports are trying or able to create good airport ambiences for their passengers. When we think of great ambience, quite often what comes to mind is what you can achieve if you're lucky enough to be able to have brand new facilities or new terminals or new concourses. When you're able to do that, you're able to present elegant, high-class facilities, a high-class atmosphere to passengers. That's what Incheon does on the left, and that's what Barcelona achieves on the right. So high-quality materials, shiny new facilities, projects an impression of elegant, high-class facilities. But you need to be careful. Yes, this can help you improve ambience, but it's not the solution to everything. We've worked with quite a few airports who, after building brand new facilities, expected to see satisfaction levels continue to rise and ambience scores continue to go up. What we saw is that when the airports were not well managed, what happens is that, to start with, people are surprised and so they're satisfied and give good scores. But then as time goes on, that satisfaction wears off and satisfaction levels start to drop fairly quickly if the airport is not well managed. So good facilities, brand new facilities, are important and can help you improve ambience, but they're not the absolute key. That's not the most important thing that you need to be doing. There are plenty of other ways that you can improve airport ambience without having brand new or great facilities. And one of the ways you can do that is providing a calm, relaxing, enjoyable airport atmosphere. Traveling is stressful for many passengers, and if you as an airport can take the stress out of traveling and make your airport as relaxing as Nagoya Airport is on the left, people will love you for it. What makes Nagoya such a great airport is that it's simple to get around. The processes are efficient, and the whole airport projects a sense of zen, quietness, and calm, relaxing place. Everything they've done focuses on reinforcing that impression on passengers. On the other hand, if you're operating at near or over capacity, as is the case at the airport on the right, you can absolutely forget that. Nothing kills airport ambience more quickly than having packed facilities. If you're in that situation, what you'll be needing to do is to try to make sure that you limit the damage that overcrowding is having on your airport experience. There are different ways to do that, but if possible, you really need to make sure that you're operating below or under capacity or as far away from full capacity as possible. And that means good planning on behalf of your team. Because overcrowding, if you have people sitting on the floor or the gates, there's not enough room for passengers, that will kill your airport ambience extremely quickly. And you don't have to be a big airport with a huge budget to create great airport ambience. There's a lot you can do with creativity and small budgets. And quite a few smaller airports we're working with have understood that. If you're a small airport, you need to focus on making a strength with what makes a small airport so special. What makes small airports so great is that they're able to provide simple, stress-free, warm, and enjoyable and kind of personal experiences to passengers. So as a small airport, if you're able to provide that to people, passengers will love it. And that's what Upington Airport does on the left. Now, Upington is an airport with 50,000 passengers in South Africa, very small budget. But what they've been able to do is they're able to make their experience at the airport seem more like being in someone's home, being in somewhere warm and welcoming than is being in an airport. And they do that through simple things, like instead of using the basic seating that you find in most airports in the gate areas, they've used comfortable seats, different types of seating that makes kind of a homey, couch or warm-like atmosphere for passengers. And by doing things like that, which don't cost much money, they're able to achieve among the highest levels of satisfaction with ambience and overall throughout the world. It's small things like Stavanger Airport on the right. This was taken last year at Christmas. In the airport, in the security area, someone went out and bought a few decorations, Christmas decorations, and they've laid them out near the security. Small touches like that make the airport seem more personal, make it seem like you're in someone's home rather than being in the airport. And it shows the airport cares and wants to make the experience as enjoyable as possible. So you can do a lot with a small budget if you're creative and you can focus on making your airport seem more welcoming and personal. Or you can try to make your airport fun and provide experiences that passengers don't expect to see when they're in an airport. Changi is the master at this. Their butterfly garden, the carp pond, the slide, so many different things they do in the airport are focused on providing unexpected experiences for passengers, things that will surprise people and have them want to continue coming back to Changi to see what they're doing new or different this time. Again, this only works for Changi because the whole rest of the airport experience is extremely well thought out and well managed. If they were doing this but had huge queues and dirty washrooms, it wouldn't work. This kind of thing only works when the rest of the airport experience is focused and is great the whole way through. And so fun and unexpected is another way you can try to create a better improved airport ambience in your terminals. And finally, another way you can create great ambience is to make your airport uniquely local. That's what Delhi does. When you walk into Delhi Airport, they have lots of artwork, Indian artwork. They have Indian cultural events throughout the terminal during the key festivals in the year. And everything they do is projected on creating the impression that Delhi is India's gateway. And they are proud of welcoming you to India and want to give you a taste of India when you're at the airport. That's what Punta Cana does on the right. Punta Cana is an airport in the Caribbean. And so they've used local materials and local construction techniques for their terminal. As soon as you walk off the plane, as soon as you get into the airport, you feel like you're in the Caribbean. And they've made the airport feel like as soon as you walk into there, you're on holiday. And so things like that are able to make the passenger in the frame of mind, oh, wow, the airport's actually the first step on my vacation. And so they use that to try to create a positive experience for passengers and make the airport part of the vacation experience, which is usually a positive one for people. So different airports will have different ways of creating an improved airport ambience. And so what you need to do is you need to figure out what you can do in your airport to try to make the atmosphere or the experience as pleasant and enjoyable for passengers as possible, based on your possibilities, your facilities, and your budgets. This is the key to improving ambience at your airport. And in this final section of the webinar, I want to look at a question which is related to ambience, and which is, what can you do to make your airport a great place to spend time? One of the key benefits of improving your ambience is that it will make passengers want to come to your airport. It will make them choose your airport rather than being a place they simply have to go through or they haven't really chosen to go through. So how can you make your airport a destination for passengers, a place people would want to go? And to do that, you have to start treating your airport as a destination, and that means understanding who is using your facilities, what are your passenger profiles, what do different people want and expect from your airport, and what do different groups of passengers want to do when they're traveling through your terminal. And different passengers will like to experience airports in different ways. Some people will like to sit at the gate. Other passengers will like to go to the restaurants or go shopping, or do other things such as working or discovering the airport. So different passenger groups like to experience different airports in different ways. And if you want to be able to, create the kind of experience where passengers would like to spend time, you need to understand how different groups of passengers spend their time and craft an experience that answers or provides good experiences for each different types of passengers. So good activities for different groups of passengers. That's the key to making your airport a great place to spend time. Many passengers like to spend time sitting at the gate. What they'll do is they'll go through security, they'll go and find their gate, and they'll want to sit there. And so for these passengers, what you need to do is you need to make sure your gates are enjoyable, provide a good experience for passengers, and are a place people would like to spend time. Natural light, big windows, comfortable seating, that works to make the gates a great place to spend time. And you need to consider what different types of passengers will want to do at your gates. And that's what San Francisco does really well on the left. If you look in the gate areas, they have seating for people who want to sit. Then they also have workstations with plugs for business people who want to work. So they've understood what different groups of passengers, how they would want to use the gates, and they provide the facilities for people to do that. That says the airport has understood what these passengers want and cares about providing a great experience for them. And in your gates, you should also try to break up the monotony that people see in usual airports. Most airports have lines of seating, one after the other. If you want to provide a better airport experience, maybe you can try to break up the monotony by providing different types of seating. Look at Changi on the right. Curvy seats in the gates. Make it seem more like a lounge. Make it seem more comfortable than simple, normal, straight, vertical, or horizontal seating. So try to break up the monotony. Make the gates seem more enjoyable for passengers. And in terms of the gates, you have to make sure that there's a comfortable place where people can sit, and with big, nice windows so people can look out onto the apron and have lots of natural light coming in. That's the key to providing a good experience in the gates. Some people want to be able to eat when they're at the airport, so you need to provide a good range of food options. And your restaurants need to be comfortable places for passengers to go and sit. They need to be big enough for people to get through with suitcases. And they need to be in providing a nice atmosphere where people would like to sit in a relaxed manner. And that means informing passengers as much as possible when they're sitting there. People will be stressed to miss their plane, so you need to have flight information screens near the restaurants or in the restaurants so people can see when their flight's leaving. And ideally, you need to have your restaurants located near enough to the gates so the passengers can see their gate and are able to quickly go there as soon as they need to, or to speed things up when they feel that the airplane is going to be boarding soon. That will help them be more relaxed when they're enjoying your restaurants and make them enjoy the restaurant facilities as much as possible. And also in terms of F&B, don't neglect higher end options. Yes, a lot of passengers will enjoy fast food and quick options, but there's quite a few passengers in your airport who would be willing to spend more time there and willing to spend more money at your airport if you're able to provide an upper class or a better airport eating experience. Example on the right is from Denver Airport in the States. Now, US airports are more well known for fast food type options, McDonald's, Burger King, and so on. Denver has that, but what they also have is they opened a restaurant called Elway's, which is a local chain, but also a much higher end airport restaurant eating experience. Average cost for a meal there is about $80 per person, so much higher than the usual fast food. But the restaurant is a huge success. They have people queuing outside the door into the concourse because they want to get into that restaurant. People are going to the airport earlier just to be able to go eat there. So there is a lot of people who would agree to spend more time in your airport and to spend more money at your airport if you're able to provide a better experience for them, a more enjoyable, or something they could not find elsewhere. Because that's also one of the keys to Elway's, is that it's a local chain. So people know that this is an experience they'll only be able to get in Denver Airport or in Denver. So it's giving passengers a taste of Denver and something unique that they couldn't find elsewhere. Some passengers would like to have a drink, go to a bar before catching their flight. So make sure that you have some bars which are nice, enjoyable places, big windows, views out onto the terminal, onto the concourse, the apron, the planes. Make sure the seating is comfortable. A place that people would like to go and sit and have a drink before catching their flight. That's what you need to have in terms of your bars. Not all passengers like to shop, but for those who want to shop, lack of choice is one of the key barriers to purchase. So if you want to focus on shopping, you need to make sure you have a wide variety of stores to match a wide variety of needs. You need to have some high-end luxury brands, but you also need to have a mix of high street stores, things that a normal passenger could go into. You also need to focus on creating travel exclusives, so things that people could not find elsewhere than at your airport. This is the key to try to attract people and to make them want to come to your airport to buy something they can't find elsewhere. So limited editions, so working with your retailers to understand what can you offer that's different to what they can find elsewhere. So in terms of your shopping, it's having a good variety of choice, making sure that it's convenient for passengers, but also making sure that it's exclusive or different enough so that people will actually want to come to your airport and spend more time in it shopping rather than simply saying, oh, that's something that I can buy downtown next time I'm there. I don't need to go to the airport for that. And finally, it's being creative. What are the different things that you can do, different activities that you can provide your passengers, which would be something different that they would not expect to find in the airport? What are the things that you can do for people who like to just spend time walking around airports and discovering things, discovering them? What are the great museums that you can have? Can you have a movie theater? Can you have different cultural experiences at your airport? Things for people who like discovering airports rather than just simply going to the gate or going to the restaurants. These are also things that you could have in your airport to make it a destination or a place people would like to go to spend time in. So those are just some of the ways you can try to make your airport seem like a destination that people would choose to go to rather than simply a place that people have to go to before catching their flight. So in conclusion, ambience is the general feeling that passengers get from experiencing your airport and your services. And great ambience arises when all different aspects of your airport service work together and build on each other to create a good overall positive experience for passengers. If you want to be able to maximize satisfaction levels at your airport, it's absolutely fundamental to get your ambience as good as possible, to improve your ambience as much as possible. To do that, you need to make sure that you're managing the basic drivers of passenger satisfaction and your key processes well, to make sure you're providing the basic things that passengers expect from your airport and that your processes are not creating stress for passengers. And since ambience really depends on all different aspects of your airport working together, it cannot be limited to simply one airport. If you want to improve airport ambience, all different departments of the airport have to work together. You need to create cross-functional teams where you have people from commercial, operations, maintenance, working together and trying to understand what can be done overall to create a better experience for passengers. And it doesn't have to be massive change. You don't have to build a new facility or a new terminal to improve your airport ambience. Quite often, small, incremental improvements to ambience can go a long way to improving the overall experience at your airport. So small changes, quick wins can help you improve the ambience fairly quickly without spending a lot of money. And it means understanding how different groups of passengers expect to use your facilities and crafting an experience that meets their needs and provides different people with the things that they want to do at the airport. Comfortable gates for people who want to sit there, places to work for people who want to work, good restaurants, good shops, a good variety of things to do. Those are the keys to making your airport a destination, to making your airport a place people would choose to come spend time in, rather than a place that they would have to or are forced to spend time in and wouldn't if they could choose. And doing so, and adopting this mentality, will help you craft an overall experience that passengers truly love and improve your airport's ambience. And that was the fourth and final webinar in the Good to Great series, and I want to kind of wrap up what we've learned in these 4 different webinars. What we've seen is that most airports can significantly improve overall satisfaction levels without spending much money by following some key principles, by adopting the mentality of a great airport rather than settling for the mentality of an average airport. What do you need to do? You need to keep your facilities as clean and as clutter-free as terminal. So go out there and remove anything in your terminals that doesn't need to be there. You need to keep your queues manageable. Focus on making your processes seem simple, making your airport seem quick and efficient for passengers. It means designing your signage for the non-frequent travelers and making sure that your signage helps passengers by providing the information they need when they need it, and it's not confusing and losing passengers in your facilities. You need to give your staff a sense of purpose and make them proud of working for your airport and encourage them to provide great service to passengers all the time. And finally, you need to make your airport a destination. See your airport as a place people would want to spend time in and try to craft an experience, provide a service that would make people want to come back to your airport and choose your airport over every other. This is the mentality of the world's best airports. And if you want to be able to maximize satisfaction levels in your terminal or in your airport, you need to adopt this kind of mentality and encourage your whole organization to adopt this mentality and to shift your priorities from simply providing good processes to providing a great overall experience for your passengers. I hope you've enjoyed these webinar series on going from good to great. I hope they've given you indicators of what practical solutions you can put in place to improve the passenger experience at your airport. I've tried to give you broad guidelines and things that you can focus on and different ways or different practices that will help you improve the passenger experience for your travelers. But I also recognize that each airport is different, and it can be hard for you to know exactly how to implement these kind of things at your airport. And if you're having those kind of questions, I'd be very happy to help you with them. And one of the ways we're doing that is we're offering what we call a free assessment of your airport's ambience. If you take pictures of your terminals and send those to me, we will create a quick report and send it to you within about 10 days, explaining some of the basic areas that you should focus on to be able to improve passenger satisfaction. It's 100% free of charge, and the idea is just to kind of give you some indicators of what you could be doing if you wanted to be able to improve satisfaction levels within your facilities. So if you're interested in that, don't hesitate to get in touch, send me an email, and I'll explain what we need in terms of pictures to be able to create this kind of assessment of your airport's atmosphere ambience. I hope you've enjoyed the webinars. I've definitely had a very good time presenting these for you. If you want to be able to go and watch them again, I'd invite you to go to our YouTube channel, where I'll be putting up early next week a recording of this fourth and final webinar in the series. And I hope you'll be able to join us in the future for the next series of webinars, which we'll be holding in a few weeks or months. We don't really have any idea of the exact topic yet. So if you have any suggestions or things that you'd like to cover in more detail, don't hesitate to get in touch and send me suggestions. I hope you'll be able to join us in a future webinar, and I hope you'll be able to see you again. Thank you very much for your time and for coming today, and I hope you found these useful and interesting and insightful for your airports. Have a very good day. Thank you very much.